What is up, CWL fans? Welcome back. Good to have you. I'm IHOLDSHIFT Donofrio. You're you. This is the CWL Pro League Qualifier breakdown, focusing specifically on Pool B. Yes, Pool B. We looked at Pool A just yesterday, and if you missed it, there'll be a little thing that pops up that tells you where you can go find it if you want to get the breakdown there. But we will be looking at all 7 teams with a little bit of a confidence meter of how well we think they're going to fare when it comes to the pool play, and if they have a shot at actually being one of the teams to finish in the top 12. Again, if you're not familiar with what's going on with the Pro League qualifiers, 16 total teams will be in this year's CWL Pro League. 4 of them have already been set thanks to the placements that happened at Vegas, so we need to find 12 more. Again, if you're not familiar with the format, 4 groups, 7 teams each. Top 2 from each pool automatically qualify. Bottom 2 instantly eliminated. Middle 3 of every single group goes to a 12-team playoff. Easy for me to say. Top 4 from the playoff goes through. You already know that, though. So let's dig in and take a look at our pools. We went over Pool A, as I mentioned, just yesterday, so make sure you go back and watch that if you missed it. So today we'll be looking at Pool B as everything pops up. And again, Pool B will be consisting of Lightning Pandas, Team Envy, G2 Esports, HERETICS, Tainted Minds, Stacked Revolution, and Vodafone Giants. 2 teams from Spain actually going to be represented in Pool B, and 2 people named Methods will also be represented here in Pool B. So it should be a fun one, if not something just for entertainment's sake, if the games don't end up being good, which I think they honestly will be. But let's dig in and look at our top seed coming in. That is the Lightning Pandas, consisting of the roster of Alex, Dave, Josh, Madcat, and Petey. This team, if you're not familiar, was just Team Petey for the longest time, up until they were started to figure out that they're going to be going to Vegas, and they got picked up by Lightning Pandas. No roster swaps from Vegas to where we are today, so let's just take a look at what they're going to be looking like coming in. They finished top 6 at CWL Vegas. Very impressive, actually, was this team at CWL Vegas. A lot of teams and a lot of the casters weren't really sure what to expect from these guys, but they came up and showed up very, very nicely. They had a loss and a win versus Envy. The loss was in the pool play. That was actually the only loss that they had at CWL Vegas in their pool of Pool C, which is weird because Envy finished last in that pool. But then they would beat them in the championship bracket later on, and they would eventually lose to Evil Geniuses, or pardon me, eUnited 0-3 in what would have been the last round before they could have potentially been a top 4 team. So this squad, again, they really showed up and they had a lot of impressive results. None of the games were really all that close that they played, to be honest. Just about everything was a 3-1, with the exception of a game versus Mazer Gaming, of all things, went all the way to best of 5. They went 10-7 overall, which is not bad at all. But as you take a look at this team, again, going in, this is probably the team to finish on top of this pool, I would say, as they are the #1 seed coming into it. Again, seeds don't matter because everyone plays each other. My confidence of them qualifying is all the way up at 95%. If they don't finish top 2 for some reason, I don't see any way that they don't make it in the top 12 after that playoff bracket. So I think they're definitely one of the top 12 teams at the event. We should likely see them getting themselves automatic bid in the Pro League after the pool play. So let's back on up, and again, if you take a look at it, they will be playing up against Team Envy, which again, they've got that 1-1 loss win ratio against them, and what we haven't seen them is playing up against teams like G2 and stuff like that, but that is what it is. Let's jump over to Team Envy before we get too ahead of ourselves. This roster made up of Huke, Aches, Apathy, Assault, and Silly. No roster swaps for this team, which I won't say was a surprise to anybody. When it came down to them having their kind of, not the best performance when it came to Vegas, but not the worst either. They finished top 12 at CWL Vegas, but they only won just that solo game in the pool play, and that was that 3-1 scoreline versus Lightning Pandas. They would then get their losers bracket run stopped by Lightning Pandas at a 1-3. But the bigger thing is, in recent history, the last couple of weeks, in the CMG Showdown Brodowns, they have not looked all that great. They have not broke the top 6 yet, which is not what you want to see. But if you look at them back on LAN, okay, so they didn't do so well in pools. They did do well in the losers bracket run, where they did a 3-0 versus Tainted Minds, a 3-0 versus Accelerate, wow, those are words, Accelerate Gaming, and a 3-1 versus UYU. So their Friday and Saturday, not so great, but their Sunday, rather well. Oh, I guess it was second part of Saturday and then Sunday as well. Not so bad whatsoever. They actually came back to life, and a lot of conversation from Aches as far as what was wrong with this team. My confidence level in this team is going to sit a little bit higher at 80%, simply because I do think that this team, again, is definitively a top 12 team. If they don't finish the top 2 of their pool, I still see them making it through the playoff bracket in a top 4 spot. So pretty likely chance of them going through. The only real consideration is, I don't have them for sure finishing in the top 2 because G2 Esports has looked good lately and Heretics has put up effort against big name teams before. So you can't say for sure they're going to finish in the top 2, at least in my book. But I still think as you look at it, they are, a top 4 team of what would be the 12 teams that would be remaining after the pools had been decided. So I still see this team going on. Let's skip over to our other squad, though, that I do have a lot of confidence in as well. We'll talk about that here in a second. G2 Esports. Blast, Ricky, Chino, Decimate, and Facento was the roster going into Vegas. And, of course, they were one of the big topics when it came to who was swapping where. As you will see, of course, Facento and Ricky will leave for other avenues, and Lacefield and Methods will be joining the team. So Blast, Chino, Decimate still sticking with it, Methods and Lacefield being added, and goodness, these additions were so good. They finished top 16 at CWL Vegas, but they didn't win a single game in the pools. They would lose to 100 Thieves at an 0-3 scoreline in the championship bracket losers, and they would make this is the bigger news, I guess. I should re-emphasize this. In the last CMG, they made the grand finals. They looked good. They looked really good, actually, as they were able to take down a number of key opponents. The 4-1 versus OpTic Gaming first on in their first round 1, a 4-0 versus FaZe. They lasted out Red Reserve 4-3, and then they would eventually get in the championship bracket where they would outlast Illy's team 4-3 before losing 2 straight best of 7s to eUnited. But you look back at what happened on LAN. Again, this is the most important thing when you take a look at these teams. Their LAN performance was not good. They would make a small losers bracket run on championship bracket where they would beat Imperial 3-0, they would beat Mazer Gaming 3-0. Both of those teams were very mediocre, and then they would lose to a kind of weak 100 Thieves team 0-3. So the LAN performance is strange, but as you take a look back at this squad and who's in this pool, more importantly, the addition of these 2 new players, specifically as you take a look at Methods being a huge pickup from what was a very good performance for him at FaZe, and Lacefield, who had a very strong performance through Pittsburgh, this is a solid trade up for G2, and it showed very, very quickly. All of the holes that were there are starting to get filled in pretty quickly. So as you take a look, I think they definitively beat Giants, Fact Revolution, Tainted Minds, and Heretics. The question mark comes down to if they can break into the top 2 of Team Envy or Lightning Pandas. That's why I think that this team still, as you take a look at it, my confidence level is equal to that of Team Envy. I'm keeping it at 80%, and you can take a look back at the pool here as far as who else is in this group again if you forgot. I like this team. I think that they could beat Team Envy and finish top 2. If they don't, I still see them making a pretty solid run through the playoff bracket of the teams to continue to make it on in. So I'm excited about this G2 team. It's the first time in a long time that I've been excited about G2's roster, because the roster before was just it just felt like a fill-in, and this feels like an actual squad. So I'm excited about it. Let's jump over to everyone's favorite Spanish team, the Heretics, who are in a really interesting spot. Lucky, Journey, Methods, Sucre, and Metals. Again, our second Methods, not the same from FaZe. No roster swaps between Vegas and now. They had a lot of very impressive 2K performances leading up to Vegas. They would eventually finish in the top 20 at Vegas, where they would make it to pool play from the open bracket. They had a notable 3-0 win versus Evil Geniuses in pools. This is while Evil Geniuses, this was on a Saturday, keep in mind. This is right after Evil Geniuses had a hot Friday, and Heretics came in and gave them the business. And they would also beat FC Black, which, if you remember from the Pool A video, I like that team a lot, and they made them look a little silly. And to be honest, in the pools, as you take a look at Heretics, they really should have won the game versus UYU, if not also the game that they played versus Red Reserve. Those were 2 really close sets, and a couple mistakes here and there, maybe a couple land jitters. Maybe it's because they hadn't played teams of that caliber before. Heretics just wasn't quite up to the task. Here, I honestly think they have a legitimate shot at making it into the CWL Pro League. It won't happen, I don't think, in the top 2. But could they make a run in the playoff bracket to follow after pool play? I think absolutely it's possible. My confidence level is just above 50-50. I'm going to keep it at just 55%. There are a lot of good teams that are around where I kind of have the overall placements. I've got them pretty even around the likes of what is currently Evil Geniuses, Mind Freak, UYU, Red Reserve, all of them kind of sitting in that fluctuation spot between like the 9th through 15th spot, I would say, as far as strength goes. So a lot of considerations, but the fact that this team was able to 3-0 FC Black, I give them a lot of confidence. Not a lot, but I give them a pretty good amount of confidence in this group. I think they can beat Tainted Minds, Fact Revolution, Vodafone Giants. They've done it time and time again online. And I think they have a shot at beating G2 or Envy and maybe even giving a run at Lightning Pandas. I mean, if they can steal a game off of any of those top 3, it would make for a very interesting Pool B, and I would be first-handedly excited to see it. Let's jump down to one of our Australian teams, Tainted Minds. They've gone through a couple of swaps in recent memory. Nimble, Damage, Swiftazor, Setzi, and Swifty was the team at Vegas. Swifty would leave, be dropped away to free agency as far as we know right now. I'm not sure if he's landed anywhere yet. And Zeppa would come in from Vertex Gaming, another APAC team. They would have a top 24 finish at CWL Vegas, but they were kind of a disappointment as they did not put up much of a fight in the play-in bracket, where they would fail to get out of it and would be put immediately into the open bracket. They did beat someone else in this pool, Vodafone Giants. They beat 2-0 in the open winners bracket. They would lose in the championship loser bracket, as we mentioned pretty early, to Envy, an 0-3 scoreline there. This team, again, like, a lot of question marks, I think, with Zeppa adding into the mix, I think is what it comes down to. I don't know 100% where this team will end up. It's just too hard to tell, I think, when you take a look at this team, because you don't know what their capabilities are. They're obviously below the level that you're going to see Mind Freak at, but do they have the potential with this ad to be better? I think it's possible, but the fact of the matter is, with everybody else in this bracket, it's going to be tough for them to even get out of the bottom 2, let alone do anything in the playoff bracket. My confidence level because of that is just at 20% for them to possibly make a move. I think that they would have a good fight against Fact Revolution. They should beat Vodafone Giants again. It could be close versus Heretics if they catch them sleeping, but I just think that you take a look at those two teams specifically right there in the middle, and they feel like they're in different tiers, just flat out by looking at the rosters and looking at previous performances over the course of even the last couple of years, not just even the last couple of months. So my confidence level, not so high with Tainted Minds. I hope they do something because the APA scene could really use it, but after they beat Giants 2-0, they did lose to Mazer 0-3. So a couple of question marks as far as if this team will actually make a run at anything. So let's dig into our next squad, though. Fact Revolution, another EU team consisting of Cammy, Chain, Defrag, Maple, and Sunny B. And if you remember back a couple of months ago, now it feels like, when we were doing the notable open bracket teams, I actually had this team rated in my teams to watch for possibly being a dark horse. I kind of regret that because they did not play all that well at Vegas. They finished top 28. They did lose very, very early on in the open bracket to Vertex Gaming. So again, I write that in there because of Zeppa from Tainted Minds having some experience against this squad. They would beat the Vodafone Giants 2-0 in the losers bracket, and their losers bracket run, which was very long, would eventually be stopped by Imperial Gaming, another squad that's represented here in the pools. The thing about it is this team did not look solid when I watched them on stream. It would take a lot for them to really bolster where their position is right now as far as what their capabilities are. I just don't feel very confident that this team's going to get out of pools, unfortunately. If they do, it's because they beat Tainted Minds, and Tainted Minds is the team to go home. But because of that, my confidence in them qualifying just down to 15%. Sorry about you. You look like over at the pools, and our last team to take a look at will be the Vodafone Giants. And this team, again, another Spanish-based team. Tojo R, Yako, Inven, Peppo, and Legend were the team that made up the roster at Vegas. Legend would lose. Invidian would join, both of them going from free agency. Invidian was actually a previous member of Giants, if I'm not mistaken, from either was from World War II or from the game before. But he's been on the Vodafone Giants before. This was a team that finished top 32 at CWL Vegas, and again, you looked at the two big notable losses, an 0-2 loss versus Tainted Minds and Fact Revolution in the open bracket. This is probably the team that, if they win a game, they should consider themselves lucky. But I think this is definitely a team that's going to get eliminated. My confidence level because of that is pretty low at just 5%. Unfortunately for them. I'm sorry about you guys, Vodafone Giants. I want the Spanish teams to do well. I think it's a fun scene, just like I think the APAC would be awesome to see more represented, but it is what it is. Hey, that's Pool B for you. Wrapping it all up with a pretty little bow. Put a knot in that. I've been Shift. Hey, I just want to say, if you took the time to watch through this video, I really do appreciate it. If you like the quality that goes into my videos, please let me know. It's been a little strange seeing the numbers kind of fall so low when I feel like we put out a production that's pretty high quality. I know some of you will mention, and you guys did mention previously in previous videos, that you do like the quality of the stream, or the videos rather, and I really do have to say I do appreciate that. If you enjoy them, feel free to put them out on your social medias. If you have friends that, you know, want to get caught up, try to find a way to help the channel grow. I'd really appreciate that. But that's all I got. Best way you can support is by liking and hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you ring the bell to get notifications for when Pool C and Pool D get posted, which should just be in the next couple of days if you're watching this day of posting. Kudos to you. Again, I've been Shift. You want to join me on Twitter, you can do that. There's the little link. Bloop. And actually this time through, I'll leave a link to my Discord as well in case you want to get more notifications or you want to talk more Call of Duty stuff with me. You're more than welcome to do that over on my Discord. I'll leave that in the description below for you. It's been a pleasure having you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, as I mentioned, for the last 25 million minutes, it feels like. So I'll let you guys go. Until next time, hope that you keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.